exciting review of Winning with People by John C Maxwell. And today we're going to be examining one of the 6 people principles under the question that says, under the connection question that says, are we willing to focus on others? Are you willing to focus on others? As human beings, we all have one desire, the desire for acceptance, for connection, for relationship. And it doesn't matter whether we're young or old, poor or rich, African or American, whatever, everybody, it could be, that desire could be born out of loneliness, it could be born out of, the need for validation, but whatever it is, we all have that desire to connect with other people. That's the way we're wired as human beings. So how can we fulfill our desire for relationships? What is the best way to get started? How do we connect, or how can we connect? The answer is that we must stop thinking about ourselves and we must start focusing on other people. Right. Strangers are what friends are made of. That is what Colin Hightower says. You need to start focusing on others if you want to build meaningful relationships. So in order to increase our chances of connecting with other people, we need to understand and learn the following 6 people principles. 1 is the big picture principle, 2 is the exchange principle, 3 is the learning principle, 4 is the charisma principle, 5 is the number 10 principle, and 6 is the confrontation principle. But today we're only going to examine the big picture principle. And this big picture principle makes us understand that the entire population of the world, with one minor exception, is composed of others. You are probably that one minor exception. So take yourself out of the big picture. You will see that you are only one minute part of the entire world, right? So why would you want to focus on only yourself? You are just a minor exception in the world. Why would you want to focus on yourself alone? What does it take to change people's perspective and help them see the big picture for the first time in their lives? Sometimes it could be getting married. You get married to understand that, well, life does not revolve around you alone. Sometimes it could be divorce. When you go through that painful divorce, that is when you realize how much you actually need that other person that you thought was not so important in your life. I only wish that we could hear what some divorcees have to say. I'm sure some of them have regrets. They wish that they had made their marriage work. They wish that they had been more mature, more responsible to actually make the marriage work. But now that they're separated, they are divorced, ego will not allow them to want to go back, to want to confess, right? But deep down, they know that they are missing something, which is the other person. Sometimes it could be a child. As a parent, when you have a child, that is why you know that sometimes you do not even matter in the scheme of things. You cannot be sleeping while your child is crying, hungry. You cannot be snoring when you are supposed to be interceding for your child. Sometimes it takes all of these things, marriage, divorce, parenting, to actually take the focus off us. Right. So the bottom line is that people need to understand that everything is not about them. Now, reading between the lines, there's a story here of the award-winning actress Angelina Jolie. It took her a script, a movie script, to change her perspective about the world, about the way that she saw herself, about the way that she treated other people. She grew up in Nollywood. Her parents were actors, so she indulged in so many excesses. She abused drugs. She was even called a wild child. She was known for outrageous behaviors, self-destructive actions, and she was even convinced that she was going to die early. At a point in her life, she said this, and I quote, "I felt so off balance all the time. I remember one of the most upsetting times in my life was after I had attained success, financial stability, and I was in love. And I thought, I have everything that they say you should have to be happy, and I'm not happy." She had everything. The money was there. She was in love. In fact, not just that the money was there. She had attained financial stability. She was successful in her career. She had everything that she thought that somebody could have. She was successful, yet she was not happy until she came across this movie script that made her realize that some people are refugees somewhere. Some people are victims of war. Some people are living in famine. And here she was in Hollywood, surrounded by the most beautiful things of life, yet she was unhappy. She realized that there are some people in developing countries who do not have, in fact, 100 or 1,000 or 1 million of what she had, yet they were still able to navigate life. And for a year, she traveled around the world with the United Nations workers. She got her greatest life education and changed drastically. She visited countries or refugee camps in countries like Sierra Leone, Tanzania, Cote d'Ivoire, Cambodia, Pakistan, Namibia, and Thailand. And her entire perspective changed. She shifted the focus from herself to other people. And that was when she started living a happy life. So in the end, money does not make you happy. Even if it does, maybe momentary. Right. True happiness does not come from money. It does not come from material things. It does not come from the things that you have or that you do not have. Right. Most times, it just is as simple as you shifting your attention away from yourself. If you have a small injury on your hand and you keep focusing on that, it may make you see how ugly your entire body is. Meanwhile, that is just a tiny part of your skin. So you have to shift your focus away from that small injury and look at your entire body to appreciate how beautiful you look. That's exactly what we're talking about. She eventually became a goodwill ambassador in 2021 for the United Nations, especially for refugees. And she was happy to do it. She donated up to like $3 million at a point. She gave generously. She even adopted a child from one of those countries, I think Cambodia. Yes, she adopted a child, an orphan, Maddox, And she said, Jolie puts it all into perspective. She said, you could die tomorrow and you've done a few movies, won some awards. That doesn't mean anything. But if you built houses or raised a child or done something to make things better for other people, then it just feels better. Life is better. Why does she feel that way? Because she finally gets the big picture. She stopped focusing on herself and began putting other people ahead of herself. So from here, everything looks different. When it comes to winning with people, everything begins with the ability to think about other people other than ourselves. That is the most basic principle in building relationships. If you do not take the focus away from yourself, you can never have meaningful relationships. Or at best, your relationships will just last for a while. Before you know it, there's quarrel, everybody goes their separate ways. Right. It may sound like common sense, yet not everybody gets the big picture or practices unselfishness. You have to be unselfish if you really want to build good relationships. People who remain self-centered and self-serving will always have a hard time getting along with people. So in order to help you break away from that pattern, in case you are one of them, do the following things. Look at perspective. What is perspective? Put everything in place. We talked about the lens principle. How do you see yourself? How do you see other people? The way you see yourself is the way you see other people. Right. Shift your focus away from what can I get from you to what can I offer you. Shift your focus away from how can you help me to how can I help you. That is perspective. Right. Don't look selfishly. Whenever you are too selfishly looking out for your own interest, you have only one person working for yourself. But imagine you working for 12 people. Right. Those 12 people will eventually turn around to help you. That is the way life is. Number 2, maturity. John C Maxwell remembered his 2 granddaughters, and he said that there were 3 at the time that he was writing this book, Hannah and Madi. And as much as he could remember, none of them ever said, what can I do for you, Papa? But that was excusable. You don't expect that from a 3 years old, a 3-year-old at least. But when you are 30, when you are 20, when you are an adult, in short, you can't be excused from that. You must ask people, what can I do for you? How can I help you? That is the way it is. We expect maturity to come with age, but the truth is sometimes it comes alone. Maturity is not equivalent to age. There are so many people who are old, who are 30, 40, 50, 60, yet they are not mature in any way. You know, they only see life their own way. They are so selfish, they're self-centered. Everything is me, myself, and I. And somebody said in this book that people who cheat themselves the most are selfish people. Number 3, responsibility. You may have observed that marriage has a way of magnifying an irresponsible person's lack of responsibility. So anybody who is irresponsible in marriage, it did not start in that marriage. They've been irresponsible all along. Marriage is just helping them to magnify it. So unmarried people, they have a lot of freedom. They can decide to stay out late, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., hang out with friends, come home, cook, eat whatever they like, just cook. Can just open the fridge, they grab a drink, take biscuits, eat. They are good with dinner, they go to bed. But when you are married, there are some things that you cannot do. You have to share your freedom with people. You have to share your time with the people that matter to you. Otherwise, that marriage is not going to work. And I think that is one of the reasons why marriages break up these days, why we have a high rate of divorce. Because people don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to put their partners ahead of themselves. Everybody is just dealing with one another with so much ego. You want to be married, at the same time you want freedom. At the same time you want to keep your old friends. You want to sleep the way you've been sleeping when you were not married. To make partners work, to make marriage work, to make marriage work, both partners must be responsible. Marriage relationships mature when each partner stops asking, what can my spouse do for me? And they start asking. They start taking responsibility to ask, what can I do for my spouse? The same thing applies to leadership. If you're a leader, if you're an irresponsible leader, it's a matter of time, and that time will not be long. Your responsibility will come to the fore. People are going to see it. They will know that you are there for your personal benefits. Like we see in some African countries, leaders who are there, who have been serving since 1982, and they are still president till date. Isn't that selfishness? Even when they are sick, when they're already bedridden, they've lost their memories. It is clear that some other people are ruling through them. They're actually not the ones ruling. They're just like figureheads. Yet they refuse to leave. Somebody is dying. He still wants to find a way to manipulate the electoral system. I mean, a lot of things. Greed, irresponsibility, personal gains. If you shift the focus away from yourself, when people are protesting that we don't want you, you will leave. Because why are you there in the first place? It's to serve the people. And once the people say we don't want you, won't you do the honorable thing by leaving? But no, if you see a responsible leader, they put others first. They will not allow the entire country to be on fire just because they want to remain in power at all costs. No. And it doesn't have to get to the level of a president, a national president. It could be in your own little space. The people that you are leading, the 10 people you are leading, maybe in your church, in your mosque, you know, at your place of work, you are heading a team. Are you putting them first? Or everything is all about yourself? Open your eyes to the big picture. Get out of your own little world. Don't be trapped in your little world. The author said when he was a child and he was living in Ohio, then he didn't know much about the world. He thought that everybody was supposed to be doing fine, that you cannot be working hard in life and not be fine. No matter what the circumstances, if you work hard, you're just supposed to be fine. Until he visited a few developing countries and he saw how hard people were working, yet they could not overcome poverty. That was when he understood that, see, life is not just about hard work. Success is not just about hard work. There are some circumstances in life that just keep people under. It keeps them beneath. It keeps them in poverty. They never rise above a certain level. If you are from some African countries, you will know that for you to rise, you must change your mindset. The environment alone does not support your success, your growth. You have to do extra work for you to get out. And that will not be an excuse. You just have to fight. A lot of people fight to be where they are, unlike some developed countries where you don't need much of fighting to do. By being born in that country, you have some natural advantages. So it took him, traveling out of Ohio, of the United States of America, to change his thinking, his perspective. His world got enlarged. So for you to change your focus sometimes, go to another state, go to another country, go to another family. In your family, you are still complaining that it's rice. When you go to another family, you see that even that rice, they don't have. They do not have. If they should set their eyes on rice, they will be jubilating. So anytime you are eating rice, you will not be grumbling, you will not be complaining. That's the truth. And check your ego. This is the last one we'll check. Yes, we check. Check your ego at the door. Have you ever spent much time talking to someone with a big ego? The conversation will be full of them. Me. The moment they remove me from their conversation, the conversation becomes boring. They don't have anything to say. Nothing about other people, no praises for other people, no celebration of other people's achievements. It's all about them. An egoist, an egotist can be described not as a person who thinks too much of himself, but as someone who thinks too little of other people. They don't even think of other people at all. Everything is about them. That's a good description of them. We often mistakenly believe that the opposite of love is hate. It's actually not hate. It is self-centeredness. It's as simple as that. You don't have to hate people outrightly for you to know that, you don't have love. No, when you are self-centered, the money that is meant for 10 people, only you want to spend it. That is hate. Again, this will go back to our politicians, especially in Africa. They don't have to come out openly and say, we love you. Show it in your action. Money that is meant for children, so many out of school children, so many people cannot afford basic health care. They cannot eat. Yet I heard that the son of a popular politician took the entire floor of one popular hotel in Nigeria, where he and his friends will go and lodge and hang out and do all sorts of things, whenever they are free. So it's self-centeredness. If you are comfortable the way you are, while you open your eyes and some people are dying, some people cannot eat, some people cannot afford simple drugs, then it is self-centeredness. It is hate. That's the way it is. So understand what brings fulfillment. If you are always grumpy, you're always unhappy, check yourself. Check yourself. How many people are you helping? How many people are you reaching out to? How many people do you compliment? Yesterday we talked about the compliment club. Are you happy to see other people happy? That is where true fulfillment comes from. Right? What brings fulfillment involves other people. You have to look at the big picture. You are only one person out of the entire people in the world. So many people in the world, billions of people in the world will never know you. Some billions of people in the world don't know you, and they will never know you. But imagine if you are kind to many people, your kindness will spread abroad. You may not be able to reach there, but the people you help will be everywhere, and invariably, people see you. They see your kindness, your generosity in the lives of others, even though they may never get to meet you. Right? Yes, I saw that quote. No man is more cheated than the selfish man, says Henry Ward Beecher. It is true because he separates himself from what's most important in life, people. If you want to live a fulfilling life, you need healthy relationships. And to build those kinds of relationships, you need to get over yourself. Embrace the big picture principle. Embrace the big picture principle and remind yourself that the entire population of the world, with one minor exception, is composed of others. You are just one minor exception in the world. So shift the gaze away from you. Help other people. Be kind to the world. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of today's review. Please don't forget to like this video, share your comments, and please subscribe to this channel in case you're yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. Right. Tomorrow, we're going to come together again as we review the exchange principle. There's going to be another interesting review. Until then, be intentional. Bye. You're welcome.